Good morning. Welcome to another One Mind meditation. Eventually, this last week or two, there has been very few of these. Our constant power outages has been making this quite difficult. At least we are connected online, we can share stuff with one another, and we can get right back here when the moment allows for it to happen. So good morning. It's awesome being in this space, and for this moment I will just have gratitude for being right here and right now. Jacqueline, good morning. Sunmuddy, good morning. It is awesome seeing you. And a very good morning to you. Leshna, hello. It's awesome seeing you all. This week's teacher always excites me when I read his work. He's got the most beautiful work, and it's not just beautiful words. It really hits practically every time that I read it. Anthony, hello man, good to see you. And I really have been looking forward to sharing this work with you in meditation every week. Sorry, I've got a heater that's on way too high. That can come down lower. Right, so I'm happy that this morning we have time for this specific set of thoughts that I want to share with you. These are really beautiful, but also really flippin' powerful if you embrace these words and really get what he's trying to say. So let's get right into it. Jeff Foster, obviously being our teacher this week, he says, what you really long for is a deep intimacy with your own experience. The deepest acceptance of every thought, every sensation, every feeling. And that cannot come from outside yourself. Clearly, we can only find that within ourselves. Maggie, good morning, the original heart whisperer. It's good to have you here. So I'm going to read this again. What you really long for is a deep intimacy with your own experience, the deepest acceptance of every thought, every sensation, every feeling, and that cannot come from outside yourself. So I'm going to read the next two quotes, then maybe come back to this one and bring it all full circle and paint a picture for you. This might be my favorite set of words from him ever. Stop trying to heal yourself. Stop trying to fix yourself, even awaken yourself. Stop trying to fast forward the movie of your life. Let go of letting go. Healing is not a destination. Your pain, your sorrows, your doubts, your longings, your fearful thoughts, they're not mistakes. And they're not asking to be healed. They're asking to be held. Here, now, lightly in the loving, healing arms of present awareness. And this is Jeff Foster. These quotes are by Jeff Foster. They've been in the email this week, and they'll be in the email again this morning. Jay, good morning. It's awesome seeing you here. I want to just highlight the last piece again. Your pain, your sorrow, your doubts, your longings, your fearful thoughts, they are not mistakes, and they are not asking to be healed. They're just asking to be held. Here and now, lightly and lovingly, in the healing arms of your present awareness. Isn't that flippin' beautiful? I promise you it's true and practical too. Right, the last quote before we just touch on the first one again says, feelings that have been pushed away do not actually disappear. They live on in us in darkness, in the darkness of the unconscious. They're pulling the strings of our relationships, our work, our self-expression, causing us to become reactive, compulsive, obsessive, depressed, anxious, and deteriorate our physical health until one day we remember all feelings have a right to exist inside of us. So we stop numbing ourselves and we feed them love. We give them attention. We give these thoughts and feelings our curiosity and our presence. Now they can finally come to rest. There's a beautiful practical explanation of exactly how this works. So just before we start, I want to bring us back to the first one. where he said, what you really long for is a deep intimacy with your own experience. And these experiences, he got into in some detail in the other two quotes, what these experiences might be. What you really long for is a deep intimacy with your own experience. If you have that intimacy of all your thoughts, feelings, emotions, not pushing anything away anymore, but having the deepest acceptance of every thought, every sensation, every feeling, what is that other than wholeness? If you're not trying to resist anything inside of you anymore, if you're not trying to push anything inside of you away anymore, what else is that but wholeness? If you're not trying to leave any part of you behind, what you really long for is a deep intimacy with your own experience. I think he's spot on. I think what he describes is just really being whole. Our meditation today is called a sense of self. And we'll call up some of these things we have inside of us, some of these voices that speak in anger and sadness and fear. And the last quote he said, so we stop numbing ourselves and we feed them love, we feed them attention, we give them our curiosity and our presence. And that's exactly what we're doing in today's meditation. So if you're ready, you can close your eyes and let's float away together. Starting with the first few big breaths. Let's take a deep breath in and out. A deep breath in and out. A deep inhale and let it go. Big breath in and out. One more deep breath in. Let it all flow away. You can continue with the same breathing pattern on your own time. Every slow inhale through your nose gets drawn all the way deep down into your belly. As you breathe in, as you fill your belly with air, also make yourself a little bit taller. Stretch out your spine and lift the top of your head toward the ceiling. When you've reached your full height, let all of it go. As you breathe out, soften. As you exhale, soften your spine, slump down your shoulders, and drop your head. We all have different forms of voices, narratives, thoughts, feelings, and emotions that sometimes feels unhelpful. I want you to imagine yourself sitting and being able to invite this small self, this inner child, these inner children. Sometimes it can feel like a whole crash. Invite them to come and sit at your feet like a teacher getting ready for story time and inviting the kids in. For today, we've got 3 examples. 3 voices, 3 little voices I'd like you to invite. We'll call one sadness. We'll call one anger. We'll call one fear. This is the voice that speaks in sadness, the part of you that feels sad. The voice that often speaks in anger, and the part of you that often feels scared. Invite them all in to come and sit at your feet. Can you provide for them the space of acceptance? If you struggle with that, it's okay. This is a process, it takes time. But if you're able to, let them know they're not judged. In this moment, at least, you don't feel any criticism for these inner voices. But you're trying to create a space of acceptance for them in which to come and sit at your feet. And while you continue your full body breathing, breathing in by rising up, breathing out by softening, I want you to invite these 3 little ones to breathe along with you. Only if they want to, though. They can show up just as they are. The voice of sadness, the voice of anger, the voice that is scared. See if they can breathe and rise and fall along with you. Last few big breaths of this phase together and invite these little ones, your small self, your inner children, to stretch along with us. Let's take a deep breath in. As you release, drop your head all the way forward and roll out your neck muscles in big half circles. Forward and to the left, and forward and to the right. Take a deep breath in. As you release, roll your shoulders forward. Big circles, nice and slow. Take a deep breath in. shoulders backwards. Take a deep breath in. As you release, focus on your spine. Lean your whole upper body over to the left. And lean your whole upper body over to the right. You're stretching into your back muscles. Be gentle. Find where the edges are and gently lean into those spaces. One more big breath in. And as you release, you can stretch, move, or adjust any part of your body that still needs a bit of help settling down. Having stepped into presence as much as we can, we can turn our attention inwards and dive deep inside for the next part of the journey. With every next inhale, we'll hold our breath for a few short moments, followed by a long, slow exhale. Let's take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, make it a really long, really slow exhale. Take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, feel all the way into your body. Feel the muscles of your body soften with your long, slow exhale. Take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, follow the downwards flow. Feel your shoulders falling, feel your body softening, feel yourself slip into a deeper and deeper surrender. One more big breath in. And hold. And as you release, feel yourself melting. Feel your body dissolving. Feel yourself becoming more and more you. You can continue the same breathing pattern on your own time. Every slow inhale through your nose is an invitation. It invites you to turn inwards and follow this journey all the way inside. as you breathe in, feel the air flow in through your nostrils. Feel the air touch the back of your throat. Stay with your breath as it flows in through your lungs. And as you fill up the balloon inside your belly, feel yourself slip all the way inside of you. You are holding you inside of you. You are holding you in a warm, snug hug. With your next big breath, you dive deep into you. Welcome yourself. Say hello, you. Take your next big breath. Bringing our attention to these different parts of us we invited to come and sit at our feet. Today's example has 3 specific voices. And I want to remind you that you don't have to necessarily use these 3 specific examples. You know what comes up for you. You know what's been happening inside of you. And you can use those very real examples if you want. Our 3 examples today is the voice that often speaks in sadness, the voice that often speaks in anger, and the voice that's clearly scared. We'll bring our attention to sadness first. With your next big breath, as you dive deep into you, I want you to remind yourself how sadness speaks. When is the last time you heard sadness speak? And for the moment, allow sadness to speak again. Will you take a step back and just sit and listen to what it is that sadness always says, or often says, or sometimes says? With your next big breath, ask sadness to speak and you listen. Take your next big breath. These parts of us, these inner voices, these thoughts and feelings can be unsettling, they can be overwhelming, and that's the reason why we will often feel we want to turn away from this, run, numb. What you're doing right now is the complete opposite. you're turning towards and you're being with. Allowing sadness to speak while you listen. I want to remind you of how beautifully Jeff Foster put it this morning. He says, so we stop numbing ourselves and we feed them love. We feed them our attention. We feed them our curiosity. Can you feel that space of being curious about what sadness has to say? So let's do the same thing again. When you take your next big breath, when you dive deep into you, become even more curious and ask sadness to speak more. Say more of what he or she often has to say. Take your next big breath. I want you to get as clear a picture of sadness as you can. And then I want you to ask sadness a direct question. You don't need to try and manufacture an answer for sadness. There's a good likelihood sadness will speak. Just ask the question and take a step back and see what comes up. Please ask sadness, what is it that you are afraid will happen? With your next big breath, dive deep into you and ask, what is it that you are afraid will happen? And just listen. Take your next big breath. I want you to take a moment and give sadness gratitude. Say thank you for speaking. We'll turn our attention to anger. With your next big breath, you dive deep into you. Remind yourself of what anger has been saying. What are the words, the sentences most often used in anger? And just listen. Take a step back and just listen. Take your next big breath. want you to offer anger your curiosity. Can you turn towards this part of you that speaks in anger and ask it to say more while you are willing to hear more? Take your next big breath. Please ask anger the same direct question. Ask this voice that speaks in anger, what is it that you are afraid will happen? What is it that you are afraid will happen? Take your next big breath. You to extend gratitude to this part that feels angry and say thank you for speaking. I see you. And we'll bring our attention to fear, the scared human in you. As you take your next big breath and dive deep inside, ask the scared part to speak. Remind yourself of the words and narratives that often come up in fear, parts of you that feel scared. Offer this scared human your curiosity. Sit and listen. Take your next big breath. Having listened to fear speak, the answer to the next question might seem obvious, but sometimes it's not. When we ask a direct question, we often get a more direct answer. With your next big breath, you dive deep into you, get a clear view, as much as you can, of the scared part and ask, what exactly are you afraid will happen? Take your next big breath. I want you to extend gratitude towards this scared part. Say thank you for speaking. Do the last big breaths of this phase together, maybe just one more big breath hold together before we slip through and find the space on the other side. Let's take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, feel yourself slip all the way through. No more attention on your breathing. Feel yourself in a space of floating. If you want to, if it's possible, gather these three little ones closer. If you want, pick them up and put them on your lap. Let them be exactly the way they want to be. To share with you the thoughts from Jeff Foster about this process again. He says, feelings that have been pushed away do not actually disappear. They live on in the darkness of our unconscious. They keep pulling the strings of our relationships, in our work, in our self-expression. They cause us to become reactive, compulsive, obsessive, depressed, anxious, and even deteriorate our physical health until one day, and today is a day like that. Today is one of those one days, until one day we remember that all feelings have a right to exist in us. So we stop numbing ourselves and we feed them love. We feed them our attention. We give them our curiosity and presence. And now they can finally come to rest. No parts of us can be left behind. In our attempt to push parts of us away, we create inside of us a hole that feels like it needs to be filled. But no thought or feeling or emotion that we ignore disappears. It's there, pulling the strings. I use these words by Rainer Maria Rilke quite a lot. He He said, perhaps everything that scares you is just something that is afraid and in need of your love. And when we open ourselves to really deal with what is inside of us, it becomes so clear that every part, every voice lives in an attempt to cope, an attempt to help you cope. It has a wish for you. It has a warning to prevent bad things from happening. It is trying to be helpful. It often doesn't feel helpful because it's a big trigger, it's a flood of emotion, fear, anger, sadness. But every part of you is only trying its best to help. To prevent bad things from happening, to help you cope. Can you hold them all? Can you let them know that no one will be left behind? Can you tell them that you understand them better now? And then ask yourself this question: if I can take this step back, if I can look at these parts, if I can let them speak and ask them questions, and in this moment, who am I being? What am I being? Well, I can look at this without being consumed by this. Is this my higher self? Is this my soul? Is this the true I am? Whatever you want to call that, you can practice seeing through those eyes. The more you do this, the more you practice being your higher self, your soul, your true being. We have the last 5 breaths of gratitude to do together. With every exhale, I'll say my thank you, and I invite you to do the same. Let's take a deep breath in. Thank you for this journey. Take a deep breath in. Thank you for learning, and it is quite a journey, learning to not turn away, learning to not run, learning to not numb, but turn towards, listen, hold, and be curious. Take a deep breath in. Thank you for learning to recognize how every part of me is just trying to be helpful, even if it feels not helpful at all. Learning to recognize there's an old pattern, an old messaging inside of me that just is trying to help me survive. Take a deep breath in. Thank you for the wholeness that comes from being able to hold all of these. The wholeness that comes from no longer trying to push anything away. One more big breath in. Thank you, beautiful people. The reminder is to ask yourself that question: who am I being while I can sit and listen? What is this me that can look at all of these and hold them? Especially if I can hold them without judging them. Who am I being then? Lots of love to you all. I'm happy we could do this today. So would we be able to do this tomorrow? We'll see. We'll be present enough to find out. Nala, good morning. It's so good to see you. Thank you so much, Nella, Sunbury, Charlene, Anthony, Maggie, Ange. Love you guys lots. Thank you, Vishna. And see you soon. Hopefully tomorrow morning. Ciao, ciao.